what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel, and tonight is going to be movie content. For today's video, we're going to be participating in a yearly tradition where I tier rank every single film I watched last year. In 2023, I watched a total of 139 movies, which is a totally new record for me. I'm blown away. That is a lot. And because it's so many movies and I do not want this video to be over an hour long, I'm gonna only briefly talk about some of these films. Some of them I'm just gonna blow right over. For example, I made videos talking about my best films and my worst films of the year. Those movies I'm just gonna put in their respective categories and move on, and I'm also not gonna go over the movies I rewatched. Because I don't do December wrap-ups, those films I may talk about a little bit longer compared to the others. But that is about it, so without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. Alright, so here we have my 8 rankings, my 8 categories, whatever you guys want to call them. These categories have the same exact names as I gave them last year just because I thought they were clever and I didn't feel like changing them. But at the top we have in the Oscar Goes To, which is where my top 10 films of the year are gonna go. Then we have in the nominees are, these are the ones that almost made it. I gave these about 4.5 stars. Then we have Congrats, you made the short list. These films I gave about 4 stars. We have an enjoyable watch, which is where I'm going to put my 3-star, my 3.5 star movies. Then we have At Least You Tried, which is where the 2.5 star movies are going to go. We have Oh Girl, Absolutely Not, which is where the 2 stars are going to go. The 2 stars that did not make the bottom 10. And speaking of the bottom 10, we have in the Razzie Goes To, and these are where the worst films of 2023 are going to go. And of course, at the bottom, we have Rewatched. And the way I'm going to visually rank these films, the best of each category is going to be all the way to the left, while the worst is all the way to the right. And then if there's just multiple rows, it's obviously from left to right, and then top to bottom. But alas, here are all the movies I watched last year. If you see me struggling with this website, it's because I don't know what is going on, but I swear to God, the more time passes, the worse this website gets, but I can't stop using it. But enough about that, let's tier rank some movies. Okay, so the first movie I watched in 2023 was Megan, about that talking, dancing doll, which I cannot believe happened in 2023. This movie was all the rage on Twitter. People ate it up. It did so well at the box office, which is like surprising because horror movies in January typically tank. I was hoping to go in for a good campy time, and that's not what I got. Y'all overhyped the shit out of this. This movie is so overrated. I gave it 2.5 stars. At Least You Tried. Okay, moving on to Star Wars Rogue One, which takes place between episodes 3 and 4. This was a rewatch because I'm trying to watch all the Star Wars content on Disney Plus so I can one day tier rank them because, again, as shitty as this website is, I am obsessed. I watched Solo, which is Han Solo's origin story of sorts, and I enjoyed this, actually. Like 3 out of 5 stars, but I still enjoyed it more than others tend to. I was warned it's terrible. I thought it was kind of cute. Then we have The Great Gatsby, which I rewatched. Then we enter Oscar season, and for Oscar season, I try to watch all the movies that are nominated. The first one being Tar, which is when Cate Blanchett plays the composer that a lot of people thought was based on a true story, but it is purely fictional. She did a great job. I wanted Michelle Yeoh to win Best Actress, which she did. If she lost to Cate Blanchett, I would have been okay with that because she did an amazing job with it. I gave this 4.5 stars. Then we have The Banshees of Inisherin, which takes place in an island in Ireland. It's about 2 guys who aren't friends anymore. One doesn't understand why, whereas the other is just like, I just don't like you. And it's kind of just their beef throughout the movie. I really enjoyed my viewing experience while watching this, but it wasn't until the movie was over that I realized just how much I loved the movie. I don't know what it was about it, but it was just so enjoyable, and I will risk it all for Colin Farrell. M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin, which is about this couple with their child hanging out in a cabin, and then 4 people who claim they know about the end of the world come, and they're like, you gotta sacrifice someone or else the world's gonna die. I should have stayed home for this. I don't know why I went to the theater to watch this. I mean, it kind of got my attention after a while. I was a bit engrossed in the film, but overall it was okay. But like on the very low side of okay. There's Triangle of Sadness, which I think is just an enjoyable watch. This movie, I had no idea how to feel. It's about a bunch of rich people taking a cruise and things go wrong. The commentary itself I thought was well done, but just like as a whole I had a hard time with the movie, especially the second act when it was just everyone vomiting and having diarrhea on the ship, and like it's one thing to like tell us about that, but it's another thing to just continuously show it, and it goes on for 20 fucking minutes. So like the idea of the movie is great, but just like visually I had a very hard time with this. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars because like I didn't like the movie, but I also didn't dislike it. So usually when I feel that way about a movie, like 3 stars is my safe ranking. So 3 out of 5 stars. Wow. I rewatched Nancy Drew. Then I watched All Quiet on the Western Front. I watched the one from 1930, the original. The remake was nominated for Best Picture, but I didn't want to watch that without having seen the original film. And it made one of the top 10 movies I watched last year. It's one of the greatest war movies I have ever seen. Then I watched The Sea Beast, which was one of the nominees for Best Animated Feature. This makes the shortlist. 4 out of 5 stars. It was a solid film. It was very predictable, but it was predictable because of my age. Like, this is clearly for very young kids, and it has the typical moral, like, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. But I thought it was cute. Like, it had a goal and it set out what it meant to do. I watched The Fabelmans, which is another 4.5 out of 5 star movie, so that's actually a nominee. And it's between The Banshees of Inisherin and Tar. Not only did I think it was a wonderful tribute to Steven Spielberg's life, but I did really enjoy the love letter aspect because it felt like a love letter to film in its own way. And some amazing acting. I still think about the hallway scene to this day. Then I watched Babylon, which is one of the most outrageous films I've ever seen, but I had a blast with it. So this was actually one of the best movies I watched last year. Then I watched the last Best Picture nominee I was able to get my hands on, which is Women Talking. And it's about women who are part of the Mennonite community, and they find out that at night their husbands are tranquilizing them and raping them in their sleep. So they gather together in order to discuss whether they're going to stay or leave the community. And it was a harrowing film. I gave it 4 stars. It made the shortlist. Some of the dialogue of this film could be a little on the nose, but I still think it's an important discussion to have, and it's because it's about a group of women gaining agency. Then I bawled my eyes out to Aftersun, which is about a woman reminiscing about the last time she saw her father, and girl, this is one of the best movies I watched last year. It made number 2 on the list. Cried so hard and I keep saying this on this channel, but I don't care. I told my father I love him. Then I watched Wings, which was the first ever movie to win an Oscar for Best Picture, and it's a silent film, and it was cute. I thought it was cute. I actually reacted to that, so I'll link that up above. But I gave it 3 stars. It was very enjoyable. Then I watched 65, which is when Kylo Ren gets blasted on Earth 65 million years ago, and he's got to save this girl and fight off some dinosaurs, and it needed more dinosaurs. It surprisingly lacked a lot when that was the selling point. But they tried. Then I watched Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure. This is one of 2 Star Wars made-for-TV movies that George Lucas made to capitalize off of Ewoks because they're cute and they make for great toys. And it's about a family that gets split on Endor, and the kids are trying to find their way back home. I don't know where I'm going because this was one of the worst movies I watched last year. This made my top 3. I ranked it at number 3 for the worst movies I watched last year. Then I watched A Nun Story, which is about a nun played by Audrey Hepburn. We love her. It chronicles her life from when she joined the nunnery. What's the actual word? When she joined the convent up until the point where she leaves. And I gave this 3.5 stars. So I was double checking my list. I actually gave Triangle of Sadness 3.5 as well. And I ranked The Nun Story lower just because Triangle of Sadness, as disgusted as I was, and to this day I'm still conflicted how I feel, I was like entertained in a sense. The Nun Story was it was a bit frustrating for me. But that's because you're supposed to be frustrated. But you're supposed to be frustrated because you're watching her witness these things, and she feels one way, but the oath she took is telling her to feel another way. And then there's all these goddamn stupid rules she's got to follow. And even though I didn't enjoy this movie, because again, it's not 5 out of 5 stars by any means, I still found it just fascinating. And it's because it's pretty, from what I remember reading, it's pretty accurate to what happens to nuns when they join. And plus it's Audrey Hepburn, so you know she did a good job with the script she was given. Then I watched Ewoks: The Battle for Endor, which is a sequel to the other movie I was talking about. It's slightly better because it had a fun beginning, but the whole plot of the movie is that you find out the first movie was a waste of time because everyone but the little girl is dead in this movie, and they're fighting off some monsters. I ranked this at number 6 in my top worst, so yeah, I really don't recommend these movies unless you're doing what I'm doing and trying to watch as much Star Wars content as you can. but they're not important to anything that's out right now. Then I watched The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, which is an anime movie, and this is about a girl who finds out she can time travel, so she's constantly time traveling to fix things. And I thought this was okay. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's on the higher end of 3.5. I loved the beginning. I loved the end. The middle is where they were kind of losing me. That second act was I was getting antsy, it was dragging a bit, and apparently it's the same way I felt with his other movie Belle, and it's apparently just like his style. When people critique this guy's movies, it is due to the pacing, because he paces his beginning and end very well, but for some reason he loses himself in the middle. Then I went to the theaters to watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which was fun. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I love seeing all the references because I grew up playing this game as a lot of people. I'm not special in that department at all, but it was so fun. I will say though, it is extremely fast paced and you do not have time to breathe between scenes. But the end credit scene hinted that we're gonna get a sequel, so I'm excited to see what this has to offer. Then I watched a movie called Hunger. I can't remember if this is from Thailand or Taiwan. I want to say Thailand, but it's about a woman who wants to become a professional chef, so she goes under the wing of the Gordon Ramsay of this country, and she learns that it is hard. This movie not only explores like the relationship between co-workers dynamics and what it's like to basically almost work yourself to death, but it also explores, again, positions of power, and I think it actually handled that very well. In the cooking scenes, oh my god, they were to die for when watching them. Just as a whole, I thought the movie was a bit long, like it could have been shorter, so as a whole I thought it was like alright, but like a good alright. Like it's 3.5, but a very high 3.5. Rewatched Peter Pan. Then I watched another 3.5 star movie, which is Renfield. And this is about Renfield, who's Dracula's familiar, and how he does not want to work for Nicolas Cage anymore, so he's trying to do everything he can to leave. I was really excited for this movie because I love the makeup and just the concept of Nicolas Cage as Dracula. However, I gave it 3.5 stars simply because as a whole I enjoyed myself and it was a very funny movie. It just wasn't as campy as I thought it would be. Then I watched Suzume, and this is about a girl who opens a door and causes world destruction. Now she has to go along with this guy who turns into a chair and stop the destruction before the world ends. That's a lot to take in, but let me tell you, it made one of the best movies I watched in 2023. It's by the same guy who made Your Name and Weathering with You and what else? Garden of Words, 5 centimeters per second, all of which I have seen. And it is as gorgeous, like visually gorgeous as all those other movies, and I still like Your Name the best, but out of all 5 I would rank this as number 2. I was in a Wicked area earlier in the year, so because I can't watch Wicked yet, I did rewatch The Wizard of Oz, which was my favorite movie as a kid. Then I watched Beau is Afraid, which is about a man with intense anxiety trying to go home after he finds out about the news of his mother's death. This was a movie that I wasted money on. I shouldn't say that. It is a 3-hour movie, and I actually really enjoyed the first 2.5 hours. I was ready to give this movie like at least 4 stars. There was just something that happened in the last 30 minutes of the movie that just took me completely out of the story. Like it happened and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And then I just stopped caring about it. It is such a shame because I lasted that long enjoying myself, and then that part just ruined everything. But because I enjoyed like the majority of the movie, I am gonna put it on the high end of 2.5. Definitely liked it better than Megan, I will say that. Then I rewatched all 3 Little Mermaid animated movies to get ready for the live action. So let me just go ahead. I will say the second one is the worst. I was actually surprised I liked the third one. I haven't seen the third one since it first came out. But it wasn't that bad. Then I watched Peter Pan and Wendy, which is a Disney Plus original live action Peter Pan remake. This exists. It's okay. I liked what they did with Tiger Lily. I liked how they handled that. I kind of like they gave more backstory to what's-his-face, Captain Hook, and they did not redeem him. But there's something just lifeless about the tone of this movie, and I actually had a very hard time with the kid who played Peter Pan. I don't think he could act to save his life. Then I found out I was moving from Chicago to Philadelphia, and I was stressed the fuck out, so I was like, I'm gonna rewatch my comfort Disney movies, hence why I rewatched Mulan and Mulan 2, and let me tell you, I think Mulan 2 is great. I am of the unpopular opinion, it is a good movie. Then I watched another movie called Akko's Inn, which is about a girl who moves in with her grandmother and helps her run her inn. This tried, I guess. Yeah, I did like it. I liked it more than Megan, but not as much as Beau is Afraid. Kind of similar critiques as to Beau is Afraid. Like, I liked the beginning of the movie, but in this case I only liked like the first 30 minutes. The other hour and a half, I was like, what is going on? I think what happened with this movie, the reason I don't like it, is they just tried fitting too many storylines into one film when each thing should be its own movie, own episode. I did come to find out that this movie is actually the introduction to a TV series, so maybe that explains it. It's just, however, as a movie, everything they were trying to do just fit in all these things that didn't need to be there. It just didn't make for a good movie, especially because the beginning sets you up for one idea of the story of where it's gonna go, and then it just never happens. I rewatched Dumbo. I did get to see the new live-action Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey. I actually really enjoyed this, especially for what it was. I gave it 4.5 stars. Actually, I'm gonna put it before Tar, just because I like the story itself better, because I'm a huge Little Mermaid fan. She was my favorite princess when I was younger. And there were just a lot of things I liked about this movie, especially the development between Ariel and Eric. I really liked how they fleshed out the romance in this movie, and I was so impressed with the underwater scenes. My only complaints were just the pacing. The pacing felt a little off, like this movie was just slightly too long, and I absolutely did not like Awkwafina as what's-his-face, Scuttle. I rewatched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse so I could get ready for a movie I ranked number 4 as one of the best movies I watched in 2023. That is, of course, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. My next movie is one I actually put in my bottom 10, and that is The Broadway Melody. Then I saw Carl's Date because it was a short, because you know how they play shorts before Pixar movies? I do count shorts as their own separate films. This was cute. It was enjoyable. And then I watched another movie that's in my top 10. I absolutely loved Elemental. This was such a cute romance. Absolutely do not watch it alone if you're a single, hopeless romantic like I am. I was fucking bawling in the theater. I watched a documentary called Drain to Titanic due to the submersible bullshit, which, oh my god, I cannot believe that was in 2023 as well. What a fucking year, right? It was okay. I gave it 2.5 stars. It was just too dramatic for my taste, because do you guys remember like back in the early 2000s on like the History Channel and all that? In order to transition into commercial, they would have these like dramatic montages, and they would always try to fit in the title. Because the narrator in this one, he would literally say like, what are they gonna find when they drain the Titanic? And it got old real fast, and I could see why we have veered away from this documentary style. But then I watched another documentary which is called Empire of Dreams, and this is a documentary about the original Star Wars trilogy and how George Lucas was inspired, how he came to make it, and this made the shortlist. I gave it 4 stars. It was very fascinating. Thinking about it, I'm just shocked. It's just where it's at. The franchise itself is where it's at now, especially just now that I know when he was making the first movie, almost no one had his back. Like, even the actors thought it was ridiculous. They just took the role because it was a job. And everything that could go wrong in production was going wrong. It's almost a miracle that episode 4 was able to come out. But shout out to him. He's rolling in his riches right now. I saw Wes Anderson's new movie, Asteroid City, which is about a group of people from a science fair who gathered together. And this was fun. This was I literally laughed out loud multiple times throughout the theater. I said that really weird. I laughed out loud multiple times throughout the movie in the theater. I just feel like I missed something. I don't know what the something is, but I feel like I missed it, and I do just need to rewatch it one day. Then I rewatched The Patriot because I was feeling patriotic after visiting the National Constitution Center, whatever it's called here in Philadelphia. I was able to see Nimona. This made the shortlist, and I know it's like a miracle that this movie is out now, considering what happened to its original studio. Then Netflix took over. Like, this movie must have been in production hell, but it was very fun. It was adventurous. It was emotional. Great animation. I had a good time. Then I had a Barbenheimer weekend, and I was able to see my absolute favorite movie of 2023, and that is, in fact, Barbie, and I have no shame about it. Watch my video where I just gush and rant and talk about it forever. Great movie. I was not expecting to have an existential crisis watching it. And it just makes me so happy, and it makes me feel like everything is going to be okay. But yes, that means the next movie I watched was Oppenheimer, which is the story of the guy who created the atomic bomb. I did not love this as much as the general public seems to. It's a very enjoyable watch. It's on the high end of my 3.5 star rating. My problem with it was just the runtime. I loved the first 2 hours. I was so... entertained is not the word I want to use. I was very engrossed though. I was captivated by the story, I should say. It was just that last hour when he's on trial and then the story is focusing on other people and not him. That's when it started losing me, and I was kind of ready to just leave the theater at that point. But I rewatched Titanic thanks to, again, to the submersible. And I watched the Haunted Mansion remake, and I gotta say, They tried! The Eddie Murphy version's still superior. Then I watched another anime movie. I watched more than I thought I did last year, but it's called In This Corner of the World, and it's about a woman who moves into a town near Hiroshima, Japan during World War II. The whole plot of this movie is like slice of life in a sense, so it's basically exploring how mundane life truly was during the war. Obviously, we're so used to hearing about these huge events such as the atomic bomb, but in between all of that, people were just living their lives, and that's what this movie wanted to talk about. This was just unfortunately a victim of not being my taste. It was a little too slow for me. Think I will put it here. Then I watched another Oscar Best Picture winner, which is Cimarron, and it's about the Oklahoma Territory. It's opening up spots, and this guy's like, I better grab my opportunity. And it is probably the most boring movie I have ever seen in my life. Give it a fucking Razzie. It made #2 for the worst movies I've ever seen last year. Then I watched another Oscar Best Picture winner, and that is Grand Hotel, which is studying the life of a group of people, and a hotel is just where they happen to gather, and I thought it was literally just okay. And I don't even have more to say to that. It was just, I watched it, and I was like, wow, cool. I did see Talk to Me, which almost made my top 10 of the year. It's actually at number 12. And this was amazing. It's one of the best, it's the best horror movie I was able to see last year. So give it a nominee. There's The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is about the captain's logs from Dracula, and what a surprisingly boring movie. Oh girl, absolutely not. This almost made my bottom 10, then I just happened to see another movie. So it's like at number 11 on my list almost. I saw a Disney exhibit at the Franklin Institute here on my birthday, so I was in the mood to watch Sleeping Beauty because there was like a whole segment about that. I watched Skinamarink, which is about 2 kids living in a house with no doors and windows after their parents disappeared. And this was simultaneously creepy, but also one of the most boring movies I've ever seen. Oh girl, absolutely not. I watched Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the original silent version from 1920, which I reacted to. This was just okay. I watched The Nun 2, which was surprisingly good. It was enjoyable, and I'm just shocked about it because I absolutely hated the first one, so I don't know how they were able to make the sequel even better. And I hated, like, the guy he did 2 other Conjuring movies, and I hated those. It was just shocking. Like, as a movie by itself, I don't know if it's good. Because I'm comparing it to movies I absolutely hated, I think that's why I gave it such a high-ish rating. But definitely one of the most surprising movies I watched last year. I watched another movie in my top 10, which is Gaslight, one of the best depictions of mental abuse I've ever seen in film. And I also saw Haunting in Venice, which was just okay. I figured out who done it pretty early in the film, so that kind of ruined the twist for me. Having said that, it was fun watching all the hints of foreshadowing and then eventually seeing all the dots being connected. I watched the first Ouija movie, which is about a group of friends that fuck with a Ouija board, and it was shockingly bad. The worst movie. This gets the top Razzie. Ooh, out of order. But it gets the top Razzie. This was the worst movie I watched in 2023. So bad that I'm shocked the prequel was actually okay. Not the best movie I've ever seen, but it was an enjoyable watch. It was actually pretty sad at some point. But then October was upon us, so I rewatched Halloween Town. And then I also rewatched the second one. Next was I Saw the Devil, which is a revenge story from South Korea. This was just okay. It was very formulaic, and the formula got bothersome after a while, but like, it was also an okay movie at the same time. Here. Then I watched The Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is the best version of the Haunted Mansion I have ever seen. I was literally cackling. This movie was hilarious. It was so corny and punny, but it was incredibly self-aware, which made it as great as it was. And then like the cherry on top was just like the jokes are so Disney World specific that like if you've never been to Disney World, some of these jokes won't make sense. But as someone who worked there, this movie's probably a lot funnier to me than other people think of it. Then I watched Let the Right One In, which is about a boy who meets a girl who's a vampire. And this was one of the most surprising watches of 2023. There was something incredibly wholesome about this film, and it was advertised as a horror film, but it felt more so as a coming of age. But it was just done in such a way that I wasn't disappointed I didn't get what was advertised. I don't know, there was just something so sweet and innocent about it. And if you're a vampire fan, I definitely recommend watching it. Then I watched The Day of the Beast, which is about a priest who has to defeat the devil around Christmas time. And this movie feels like a fucking fever dream. Girl. I don't know what to tell you. I watched The Pope's Exorcist, which was just basically an Exorcist remake. Very boring. I watched The Curse of Bridge Hollow, which was about Halloween decorations that come to life, and it was one of the worst movies I watched in 2023. What shit acting, man. Then I rewatched The Exorcist, and I did that to prepare for The Exorcist Believer, which, you know what? It had shit reviews. It tanked at the box office, I believe. But it's gonna make my shortlist. Definitely at the low end of the shortlist, but I was entertained. Granted, the first half of the movie felt like a scene-by-scene remake of the original Exorcist, but I really liked what the last hour did. The ideas were there, and I really liked what they did with them. Could some of the lines and dialogue and acting be better? Yeah. But did I enjoy myself? Yeah, which is what matters at the end of the day. Really, really unpopular opinion though, so that is not me recommending the movie. I finally watched Carrie for the first time. I've read the book, so I went into this knowing the plot. I really enjoyed it though. I thought it was a solid adaptation. I also finally watched Friday the 13th for the first time. This was dumb fun. It was enjoyable, but at the very low end of enjoyable because I cannot believe this spawned like 9 more movies. I rewatched The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is my favorite movie of all time. I watched As Above, So Below, which is a found footage film because people were saying if the Blair Witch Project scared you, this is gonna scare you. The Blair Witch Project scared the fucking shit out of me. I had nightmares. I couldn't go to sleep. This was subpar. This was not really good. I watched Night of the Living Dead for the first time. 2023 was the year of first because there was a lot on my backlog that I caught up on. This was almost an enjoyable watch, but like at the high end of an enjoyable watch. But then the ending is like what made the film. So I'm gonna actually put this in my short list. I watched X for the first time. I definitely think y'all overhyped this. I thought it was just okay. And the same goes for Pearl. I liked it better than X though. So Pearl, I'm gonna put here. Mia Goth's acting is amazing. It's just as stories, these movies, they didn't give me what I wanted, so I thought they were just okay. I watched The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, which is another one I thought was just okay. It didn't feel like the story that was advertised to me. I went into it thinking it was going to be a thriller, but it was actually just drama coming of age. Nightmare Alley is another one that was advertised wrong to me. It was advertised as a thriller. I felt like it was more of a drama, and it was a fucking slog. So it made one of the worst films I've ever seen in 2023. It gets a Razzie. A movie that surprised me though was The Empty Man. This one goes in the shortlist. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. A very gripping opening, and I just couldn't look away from the screen, and the end was so good. Then we have Infinity Pool, which is another Mia Goth movie. And girl, what the fuck was this? They tried. They definitely tried. Then we have Killers of the Flower Moon, which made my top 3 movies of last year. This made number 3. One of the best crime dramas I've ever seen. I have a day off work, so I just have a string of rewatches, and that's going to be Halloween Town High, Return to Halloween Town, Beetlejuice, Coraline, and then Casper. And then we have a movie that surprised me, which is The Black Phone. This is another shortlist movie. I don't really know what to say about it and why it shocked me so much, and like why did I like it? I'm not really sure. I just really did. Then we have Lake Mungo, which is another one that made my top 20. So this is definitely a nominee, and it's another one that shocked me. So this is a mockumentary film, and it's about a daughter who dies, so her family creates this documentary, but it's fiction, hence mockumentary, about how sometimes they feel like they see her. I was told this would scare the shit out of me. I don't want to say it was scary. There were scenes that like creeped me out a bit, and they unsettled me. But in the end, I just think this is actually one of the greatest explorations of family grief I have ever seen. I felt such a sense of sad, almost hopelessness by the end of the film. Then I watched a movie I was really disappointed by, and that is Nope, which is about siblings who see some aliens. I was disappointed because I love Jordan Peele's other films, Get Out and Us, and I went into this hoping to like it. I just thought, as visually stunning as it was, I just thought it was really boring. I watched Practical Magic for the first time in 2023. This was really cute. It was a really cute movie about sisterly bonds. And I'm gonna put that here. It's at the high end of an enjoyable watch. Nope, Oppenheimer's still better. Yep. I went to a secret screening with AMC, their first ever one, and that was Taika Waititi's Next Goal Wins. It was cute. I would never have seen it if it wasn't for that event, but I enjoyed it while watching it. So I'm gonna put that here. I saw Priscilla, which is the story of Priscilla Presley when she was married to Elvis, and this movie did a great job showing how much of an asshole that guy really was. However, it got kind of boring, so feminism doesn't win this round. I did only give it 3 out of 5 stars. I watched The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar, which is one of Wes Anderson's Roald Dahl short films. I thought this was okay. I thought all of them were okay, really. I didn't love them as much as I wished I would have. My problem with this is that, so the whole idea of all 4 is that they're plays within movies, which is such a great idea. I was just hoping we would actually get to see things acted out and it wasn't just the actors quickly narrating something. I watched The Lion in Winter, which is about Henry II, I believe, with his wife, and they're arguing and stuff. It was a little slow for my taste. However, the clapbacks in this movie were gold. They were hilarious. Hello, why is this not doing... There we go. Okay. It goes before Wings. The clapbacks in this were hilarious. I watched Meet Me in St. Louis, which was surprisingly cute. It was just an enjoyable watch. I gave it 3.5 stars. But it was cute to see Judy Garland in something that's not The Wizard of Oz, because that's what I mostly know her for. I saw the Hunger Games prequel, The Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes. I am a truther, let me tell you, this almost made the top 10. It is at number 11. I thought it was a pretty good adaptation, all things considered, but I'm also just a sucker for villain origin stories. Then I watched The Swan, which is number 2 for the Roald Dahl shorts, and it's okay. Same exact issues as Henry Sugar. Then I watched Thanksgiving, which was a really fun slasher. Like, yes, it's good and dumb fun, but like, it's actually fun compared to Friday the 13th. So I'm gonna actually put this pretty high on the list. I'll put it, I don't want to put it that high, but I'll put it around here. I saw Disney's Wish, which is the movie to celebrate 100 years, and it's not the best Disney movie. Disney has definitely come out with better. But I don't hate it as much as the general public seems to. I thought it was okay, and I thought it was a good way to celebrate 100 years. All the Easter eggs, I had a lot of fun pointing them out. On Thanksgiving Day, I was alone because my celebrations were actually on Black Friday, so again, I went on a rewatch spree. I rewatched Peak Cinema, which is both Sister Act movies. I feel like these movies are like a rite of passage for Catholics. Absolutely hilarious, and they get funnier the older I get. And I did get to see Charlie Brown's Thanksgiving as well. And then I watched Holiday Affair for the first time, which is about a woman who falls in love with this other guy, this stranger, despite the fact she's courting someone else. I reacted to it. This movie was a lot funnier than I thought it would be, and it stars Scream Queen Janet Leigh. Next is The Ratcatcher, which is number 3 for the Roald Dahl shorts, and I actually enjoyed this the most. This one's my favorite of the 4. I'll put that here. But then I watched my least favorite of the 4, which is Poison. So the reason I like The Ratcatcher better is because it's actually acted out. It just isn't just narrated. So you would think I would like Poison as well because it's the same thing actually acted out. However, it was just my least favorite story. It was kind of boring. He tried. Okay, but he definitely tried harder than that. It's definitely on the high end of my 2.5 star ratings. I did get to see the infamous Saltburn, and I thought this movie was just okay. I definitely think social media is overhyping this. Then there's John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. This has no plot. It's just John Denver singing songs with the Muppets, which, you know what? It's really fucking cute. So we're gonna put it all the way up here. Then there's Jack Frost, which is about a snowman that kills people. It's another dumb, fun slasher. Not much to say. They definitely tried. The acting was bad, but like everyone, in the sense that everyone was fully aware what type of movie they were making. Then Eddie Murphy's new movie, Candy Cane Lane, which was surprisingly funny. Something I really liked about this movie is that, oh my god, I'm not recording. But something I really liked about this movie is that they would take typical Hallmark tropes, but then make jokes about it but they don't make jokes about it until later in the movie. So when they're first introduced, I'm like, oh my god, Eddie Murphy, of all people, why did you have to include this? And I think the fact that there's such a delay to the jokes makes them even funnier. The only thing I just truly didn't like about this film is the acting of the elf. She was trying way too hard, and she was actually fucking annoying. And then I watched one of my favorite movies of 2023, and that is A Muppets Christmas Carol. I reacted to this, and I will link this up above because I'm very proud of that video. What a delight. Then I watched Black Christmas, which makes the shortlist. This is a Christmas movie, but it's a horror Christmas movie, and it's about a group of sorority sisters who are being killed in their own home, and it's very uneasy, especially watching it as a woman who lives alone. Ooh, not a good time. Then I watched Holiday Inn, which is one of the worst movies I watched in 2023, just all around terrible. I watched Hey Dear, which is a short from YouTube. This was just okay. It was really cute, but like, it's not like the greatest thing I've ever seen. Just a purely enjoyable watch. Then there's Tokyo Godfathers, which is about a group of homeless people that find a baby and are trying to bring her back to her parents. This was funny. This was a good time. This made the short list. We have A Muppet Family Christmas, which is when all the Muppets go to Fozzie Bear's house. And this was cute. They were trying to like find their way, and then they're singing Christmas carols. The end is what made it. Like, everyone's singing Christmas carols. So it lasts like for like a solid 5 minutes, but I loved every minute of it. So I'm gonna put that here. Then I saw the new Studio Ghibli movie, Ghibli, whatever it's called, The Boy and the Heron. I don't know what to think about this film. It definitely made the shortlist. It's not a nominee, but it made the top of the shortlist for sure. It's hard to describe because I feel like all of Hayao Miyazaki's films are typically straightforward. But this one kind of wasn't. It was more abstract in nature. And it was just a strange feeling because I knew exactly what was going on, but then at the same time I felt like I had no idea what was going on. But it's winning awards and it definitely deserves to. It was a great movie. And it's another movie that was a great exploration of grief. Then I watched Les Pupilles, which is about a group of girls living in a convent, a boarding school with a bunch of nuns, and one of them's kind of naughty. She's Cattiva. It's an Italian film, and this movie is actually fucking hilarious. Not like shortlisted by any means, but it's definitely an enjoyable watch. I'll put it here. I finally watched Love Actually for the first time. I know. All my friends love that movie too. I thought it was cute. I thought it was okay. Like, I don't hate it. I'm gonna put it here. It was a solid 3 out of 5. I'm not a huge rom-com fan. I just watched it because I felt like I was missing out. Then we have It's a Very Merry Muppet Christmas, which was not a good time. I'm gonna put it here. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It had its cute moments, but it was just full of pop culture references where if you didn't know what they were talking about, more than half these jokes would just fly over your head. And not only that, but Joan Cusack's in it, and she's usually pretty good in everything I see her in, but she was bad in this. Next, I watched An Elf Story, which is based on Elf on the Shelf because I needed background noise, and this was there. I mean, like, it's bad, but it's bad because I'm not in preschool, you know what I mean? So, like, it did what it was supposed to do, so I don't want to be too harsh. So I'm not going to put it here. I'll put it in At Least You Tried, but at the very low end of At Least You Tried. Then we have Shaun the Sheep, The Flight Before Christmas. This was just okay. Again, I just needed some background noise. It was at the low end of an enjoyable watch. I'll put it here. Then we have Rise of the Guardians, which is about a bunch of holiday mythical creatures such as Santa Claus, the Sandman, etc., coming together because they have to defeat the Boogeyman, I think Pitch is called in this movie. So in 2023, I read all the books that this movie is based on. It's based on a series of 5 books. This adaptation did what it could, but it changed a lot. So Pitch is actually the Nightmare King in the books, and he does more than just this Boogeyman shit. So as an adaptation, it's like not great, but as a movie by itself, it was very fun. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did react to it. I just wasn't able to finish editing it around the Christmas season. 2/3 of it is edited, so I just had to finish the final third, and I'm actually going to upload that for like February or something. I'm not waiting until the next Christmas season. It's not going to sit on my computer for that long. Plus, it's not really a Christmas movie. It's an Easter movie. Then we have The Nativity Story, which is the story of Jesus. This movie specifically focuses on Mary and Joseph. I had to watch it because it's by the woman who directed Twilight, and it deserves a Razzie. It was number 9 on my list. Then we have Violent Night, which is when David Harbour plays a Santa Claus, and he's, kind of fed up with the job. He does what he has to do. He visits a house that's being run over by delinquents. What's the word I want to look for? Like burglars, I guess. I don't know. It's a violent Home Alone situation. He has to help them. It's like an holiday action movie, and yet I managed to fall asleep twice, so I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. We're putting it in Oh Girl, the high end of Oh Girl, absolutely not. The only thing I liked about it was Santa's backstory. I thought it was pretty clever in this movie. Then we have The Man Who Invented Christmas, which is a movie about Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol. This was just okay, so I'm gonna put it at like the bottom end of an enjoyable watch. Not so much the bottom. I'll put it... it had its cute moments, however, it was also kind of boring. I'll put it in like this area because I feel like from Wish up until up until the Day of the Beast. That's what that is. Like, it's good, but it's also boring at the same time. Something I really liked about it is that Charles Dickens would talk with his character, so there's a bunch of scenes with him talking to Scrooge, trying to learn about the character and figure out where the story's gonna go. But then there are other scenes where the characters just recreate A Christmas Carol, and it's like, if I wanted to watch A Christmas Carol, I would have. And then I still can't tell you how the movie ended. I think I had to rewatch it 3 times because I just kept knocking out. But like, everything from before I knocked out was pretty cute. Then we have a Muppets Christmas Letters to Santa. This is about a girl whose letter was not delivered to Santa, so the Muppets band together to go to the North Pole. This was just okay. This was clearly in a phase where Disney didn't really know what to do with the Muppets, but I don't seem to hate this as much as people on Letterboxd seem to. I thought it was cute. It was enjoyable for what it is. Definitely better Muppet stuff out there, but like, it's like right smack dab in the middle of enjoyable watch. Then I watched Wonka, which is the origin story of Willy Wonka, and it's based on Gene Wilder's version specifically, and I did not like this movie. It's gonna get a Razzie for me. Then there's I'll Be Home for Christmas, which is about the guy who voiced Simba when he was a wee lad. He gets stranded and has to find his way home. It was okay. I was admittedly mostly using this for background noise. Not the worst thing. Like, it's a fun Disney Channel-esque movie, so I'll put it here. Then I rewatched a bunch of movies on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. We got Home Alone, which is a classic. Elf, classic. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. This was on accident. It happened to be on TV, so me and my dad just paused and watched it. And Christmas morning, I sobbed to It's a Wonderful Life as if I haven't seen that movie a bajillion times. On the plane from Chicago to Philadelphia, because I went home for the holidays, I decided to watch End of Evangelion, which is the movie that concludes the Neon Genesis Evangelion series. I did watch the anime this year, and I have mixed emotions about it because I thought it was an interesting idea, but it's a victim of being in a genre I'm not too fond of. I'm not like, as much as I love Star Wars, I'm just in general, I'm not a sci-fi fan, which is what it mostly is. I just watched it because of FOMO, and then the ending just threw me for a fucking loop. I was like, what the hell is this? And then a lot of people told me the real ending is End of Evangelion because it like fixes some things. The movie wasn't bad. I was like engrossed throughout the whole thing, and I was like trying not to bother my row neighbors because I kept having like physical reactions to like whatever was happening on screen. There were characters that it was really sad to see go. I was shocked they killed off so many. And just the ending, I was like, what the hell is going on? So it's a 3 out of 5 star watch, but like, I think I'm just gonna put it smack dab in the middle because it's admittedly a lot better than a lot of movies I have in here, but it's not a 4-star watch by any means. I'm just gonna go just do it random there. Random. And finally, this video is taking forever to film. Finally, we have Star Wars: The Clone Wars. This takes place between episodes 2 and 3 of the prequel movies. In this movie specifically, Anakin has to return Jabba the Hutt's nephew to him, and his Padawan helps him. His Padawan's name is Ahsoka. This movie was garbage. Oh my god. And because I'm having a blast with the TV show right now, I'm like 1.5 seasons in, I'm halfway through season 2. Having a blast, and I'm shocked it spawned from this. Like, oh girl, absolutely not. The animation's atrocious. The dialogue is so bad. And I know it's a kid's movie, but even for a kid's movie, the dialogue is garbage. I'm shocked the TV show was greenlit after this. But like, I'm not complaining because I'm having a blast with it. It's some of the best Star Wars content out there. But this is what I tier ranked everything. And that is basically it for this video. What a watch here. 139 movies. I don't know how I managed to do that. I have to say though, it was a great watch here. I actually liked the majority of the movies I saw. I had a lot more movies ranked from 4 stars to 5 stars than I thought I did, and I'm not complaining at all because of course we don't want to spend time on a movie we hate. So far in 2024, what day is it? January 14th, I've only seen 2 movies. One I gave 4 stars, the other I gave 2, so I already have a contender for a worst movie of 2024. But alas, we have a whole year ahead of us. So let me know your thoughts down below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. And without further ado, I'm going to peace out and go watch The Clone Wars, and I'll see you guys later. Ciao, tutti.